So today we are going to know a little bit about PearDeck. It's an incredible site for doing presentations. I mean, if you are used to to use PowerPoint, to use Prezi, Visme, or other websites to do presentations for your students, I'm really sure that you will love PearDeck. So PearDeck is, first of all, it's a website that is linked with Google, right? So you are going to link with your email account, and it's going to ask you going to require access to your Google Drive, right? So for example, I'm right here on the page of PearDeck, and we have these options right here, right? We have create a lesson, pop-up activities, and the PearDeck vocabulary section. I'm going to start with the section of creating a lesson using PearDeck. Now, the thing with PearDeck is that it's something that is very interactive with your students. So, for example, I'm going to create a new lesson, and it's going to ask me, require this connection to Google Drive. So I agree and create a file, and I need to access with my email account. I'm using the one of the university right now. So it's creating a new Google Slides, right? So you have this first slide, and over here we can see that on the first slide we can get some information and important instructions, right? The first step is to open the PearDeck add-on through the add-ons menu, right? So over here in the section of, since I have it set it up in Spanish, will be complementos, and then PearDeck for Google Slides on, and you open the PearDeck add-on, okay? And once you do that, it's going to ask you to download it, right? You need to install it because it is an add-on for the Google Chrome browser, okay? So you need to give the permissions again. I'm going to do it very quickly. You need to give permissions to that. And then it's going to start downloading this add-on, okay, to your Google browser, to your Google Chrome browser. Okay, so once it's over there, it's going to appear on the right side of your screen. And over here we can see the PearDeck. Actually, we have a library of templates, but also different interactions that we can add to our templates, to our presentations. So for example, let's say that I want to add another slide, okay, because this first slide just gave me some instructions. I want you to notice this. When you go to the template library, you have some sections like the lesson builders, the learning development, and the subject areas even, okay? So what is all of this about? For example, for the lesson builders, we have some specific slides with some specific content and thinking skills prompts in order to start with your lesson, right? Then we have some other slides that are specifically to perform, to carry on along the lesson. Right? I'm gonna go one by one, and then we have some end of lesson slides also. We can have different types. Now the good thing about this is that actually it helps you to build up the knowledge to scaffold the learning of your students actually. And I'm gonna have a demonstration over there. But another important thing is that it has some critical thinking slides, okay, really nice and interesting and functional more than anything else. and some social emotional learning. I really got interested into this, because imagine you can start a lesson uh, with something like a moment of silence. I'm going to use this one. So you click over here, over there, and it's going to be added to the presentation that I'm doing right now. So this is a moment of silence right at the beginning of your class, right before starting your class. So students are going to be able to watch this, right? As you come in, find your seat quietly and take some deep breaths to calm your mind before the class begins. Imagine starting with that, and imagine starting with something like this. For example, you start asking your students to think about how do they feel today. Okay, I think this is very based on noticing the feelings of our students, right? To being aware of them. So, for example, is what is filling your bucket today, and what is draining it. And you can ask your students to write them on a piece of paper or on a notebook, or to speak about it in the class, right? And with that, you already start engaging your students, okay, in a really, really, really meaningful class. Then maybe you want to say about the topic that you are going to cover on that day, and you can add also this one. And all of these templates are already pre-elaborated for you just to use it, okay? So, and then you have this one. What do you think about the topic? Okay, the topic that you're going to cover. And then you can go back and, okay, let's see what can we add something else to this, right? What about this one? It says draw. If I'm not wrong, it says, let's see, draw two type of things you already know about today's topic. So notice how we are building the lesson, starting from the students being very calm and aware of their feelings, right? Engaging with some previous, accessing some previous knowledge with some questions, right? Then you can go back and let's see, what do we have for during the lesson? Okay, let's say that you present your lesson, and you are presenting a statement, and you can add also this one, right? For your students to decide if, after you explaining the topic, if that statement is true or false. Okay, and they will be able to interact with that. We can add something else, like starting doing a mind map, for example. Let's say that you explain the topic and you ask your students to work on it, and they can do it in the notebook or a piece of paper, or they can do it on computer. This is great for self-paced activities, for example. Self-paced activities, now that we are working with the hybrid model of learning, we have some students that are at home, some students that are in the class. So this is going to be great, and we're going to see how this works in a minute. And let's say that we want to end the lesson, so we can have different types of slides and messages and instructions that are in order to connect, so students can connect with the live, with their context. Okay, and so let's say that we have finished our slides over here. I'm going to remove this one, and then we can start the lesson. Once we have finished, we can click over here on start the lesson. Okay, and this is what I was telling you, right? It can be a student paced activity, okay, at their own rhythm. Students that can be working asynchronous, in an asynchronous way, or you can be working on a synchronous way, on real time. So it says PearDeck needs permission. You need to grant all permissions once and again and again and again and again. That's only the first time that you're using it, okay? After that, everything is going to work perfectly. You can see this loading. So here's the thing. They need to access to this website, to this address joinpd.com, and they need to put this password, right? Lovely quizzes, gladly notice green jacks, right? It's kind of funny, right? They need to add LQGNGJ, right? So I have another one over here open where I'm going to enter the code. Okay, so this is like what a student is going to observe. This is what a student is going to watch on his or her screen. So let's say I'm going to copy this, which is going to be the password. This is the password. And I'm going to move on to the other window. And on this window, I'm like a student, so I access it. And it loads everything, right? And take a look at this. The first thing is asking you how you're feeling today. Okay. And all of that information, you are going to get it as a teacher, right? So let's see that I feel happy today. So it's loading the presentation. The moment of silence. And remember that on the other side, I'm the one that is presenting her, right? So the same, what is filling your bucket today, one is raining it, okay? Let's see what students are going to see, okay? They can add some text right here. I feel great, okay? That's it. And let's see what I'm going to observe as a teacher. I can see over here that says responses. Right here, there is a section that says responses, right at the bottom. Let's see if I can. And when I click show responses, I can see what my students are doing. Okay. So each one of the slides has an interactive mode, actually. If I continue with the presentation, what do you think about any kind of topic? Let's see what a student is going to see on the other side. He's going to see the slide, and they're going to answer, right? For example, I think is very interesting. Okay, and that's it. And everybody's going to add its own answer, and me as a teacher, I'm going to be always able to check responses. Right? And you go like that with each one of the slides, because each one of the slides have a different thing to do. And students will have a different thing to, they can draw, they can put some text and all of that. And we can continue like that. They can start doing a mind map, right, with the central idea, or they can connect. This is like the last slide, if I'm not wrong, in the last part when you make your students think about how can connect that knowledge with their own life. Okay. So all of this information, they're going to be watching it at the same time that you, and they're going to be answering, and you will collect all the information in a very, very nice interactive way. What about this one? This is a statement, true or false. Let's see what you can do. You select if it's true or if it's false. And the teacher, is going to check the information. So this is a great tool. This is called PearDeck. And I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. I highly suggest you to do it and to work on it. You can use it in class, and you connect the screen of your classroom, or you can use it in student-paced mode, right, for asynchronous learning, or you can even transmit it also in asynchronous way, and students are going to be doing all these fun activities in a very interactive way. So I hope that you have enjoyed it. Remember, PearDeck.